Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Today, our guest speaker is Marta Pietrasik. She's the 2022 synchronized skating world champion. She's also has a bachelor's in kinesiology, and she has completed 2 Ironman. Marta has a very inspiring story, and I'm glad to have you here so you can share a little bit with us. Thanks for joining me, Marta.
Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Looking at your story, there's a lot of different things going on, right? You were skating, and then you won, and then you had some mental battles that you had to go through, and then you did the Ironman, which is awesome. So I think my first question for you is like how you define success, and has your definition of success changed over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely when I was kind of in my skating days and when I was a little bit younger, success was always based off of the medals or the outcome and, beating a certain points or that kind of stuff, like really outcome based. Whereas now success is more based off of how I'm feeling and how proud I am about the journey and like what I overcome, and just like achieving small goals every single day to help with like your big goal. I think that's kind of how I base success, and just making sure that like you're feeling good and you're proud of yourself, because you can win all the medals in the world, but that doesn't mean that you're happy with your life or you're healthy. So I think it's just like finding a balance between achieving those goals, but also making sure that you as a person are doing well as well. So that's kind of how I base my success off of.
Is that how you felt when you won the world champion? And then you like, did you feel that something was still missing?
Yeah, so when I took a year off from skating, the year before we won Worlds, because I was not doing well. I was not really okay with um, my life and how I was feeling. And so I took a year off to kind of focus on myself. And then I realized, I was like, you know what? I feel like there's something missing athletic wise that I want to achieve. And so I went back to skating. I went back to the team. Um, and at that point, I had taken care of myself more. And so I did feel like I was able to kind of have that balance and really focus on the journey. And I never really thought about actually winning the world title. It was just about showing up every day to practice to be the best version of myself and becoming better. And now it's even stronger now after a few years has passed, and I'm able to do that even more. So
What did you do throughout that year that you took off? What are some of the things that you did in order to, come back a little like stronger?
hmm So that year was interesting because it was also COVID year where everything was closed. So
Yeah.
I did miss a year technically, but there was no competitions anyway. So it was a bit hard because I mean, I was trying to focus on myself and like work on improving certain things, but at the same time, we were all locked up in our homes. So it was a little bit hard and a little bit different than if someone were to do it now. But kind of what I did was just really, really focus on um, physically my health. So kind of gaining weight back, stuff like that. And then also just really focusing on taking time for my mental health. So, really taking breaks from school, um, journaling a lot, meeting with friends, doing things truly out of pure enjoyment rather than always feeling the need to be working efficiently or like accomplishing something. I was doing things just to make myself like feel happy and enjoy life.
hmm and then, so you take that year off, then you come back, you guys win the world champion. And when do you decide to stop with the skating? And I apologize for my knowledge on the sport, and maybe there's something that I'm missing. But when you decide to stop doing that and go to, triathlon where
hmm
you did Ironman?
Um, Pretty much I knew before we won Worlds that it was kind of my last season. And our coach at the time, she kind of told us that's a good way to transition out of the sport, is to be prepared and know and feel comfortable that it's your last year and like you're closing things, which made it a lot easier for me to enjoy every single moment. And then again, I wasn't thinking about the title. I was just thinking about every day I get to skate with my best friends. And then winning the title was just kind of like the cherry on top. So I knew that I was stopping before. Um, and then I did about 6 months or so of no skating, no triathlon. I was just doing school. But again, I felt like that athletic drive that I had been doing my whole life, like something was missing. And I was like, I need to put my energy somewhere. And I want to learn new things. I want to have new challenges. And my friends were just like, you should start doing triathlon. And I didn't know how to swim or anything like that. I didn't own a bike. And instead of like starting with a small triathlon, I just jumped right into the Ironman, which I mean, it was a big jump, but I love the challenge.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that preparation, because I feel like going to the Ironman is just, it's almost like insane. It's crazy how people do it. And I mean, I just want to learn how that preparation was, not only physically but mentally as well.
hmm so there's two different distances. So you can do the 70.3 distance, which is a half Ironman, and those are what I've been focusing on. And then I have my full, so 140.6 miles, full Ironman. I'm doing that in June. And so now I've actually done five of the half Ironmans. But yeah, but it's really, really important to just take it super slow and not be kind of overwhelmed, because there's three different sports that you have to focus on, and like so many different things you have to learn, so much equipment, and it's super, super overwhelming. So it's just like focusing at one thing at a time. Um, one day at a time. And then I think the biggest piece of advice is just like finding a community. So if you have a triathlon club, like being surrounded by people that are doing the same things that you can learn from, or finding a coach to help you like strategically plan everything so you're not doing too much or too little. Um, and I think just you really need to be able to find that balance between working, between life, between training, because it's just so many hours
Yeah.
that you have to allocate to the training. Um, and then, like I said before, just focusing on the journey and focusing on every day and those little improvements, rather than being like, oh, I just want to become an Ironman. What are you going to do today, to like get you there? Yeah.
And back then you battle against a eating disorder, depression. Um, do you think that those battles that you faced came out through the sport because of the way that you were handling sports in a way, or it was something totally unrelated to sport?
Yeah, so the more I went through recovery and the more I learned about my eating disorder and about depression, I realized and I learned that it's a little bit of both. So there's a genetic part to mental health illnesses. And so I was just predisposed with certain traits that led me to that. But then there's also certain triggers, we call them, that kind of that's what starts it. That's what kind of gets it out. And I think just throughout my childhood of competitively figure skating and then getting to such an elite level, um, it was just I put on way too much pressure on myself. And then what kind of I call is my main trigger is I had a very bad foot injury. I broke my foot and I missed the world championships that year. And so coming back from it, I was like, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get back. But it actually went the wrong way. And I pushed myself to such extremes that I, was very close to not really making it. Like I had to take a whole year off of skating just to be healthy again,
Mhm.
because I hit such a low. So I think it was a little bit of both of just having these traits and so many years of putting so much pressure on myself and then being at such an elite level at a sport. It just the combination of the two. That's kind of how it came
Mhm.
out.
I mean, it seems like you are very like aware of all those issues and how to handle those things. But what are some of the things that you do nowadays that keeps you grounded in a way that just making sure you don't go back there? Is there
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned journaling? Is there any other habits that you do that keep you healthy mentally?
Mm-hmm. So the thing about recovering from mental health and illnesses is it's not like a bone where, once it's healed again. The thing is, it's a constant daily um, task that you have to focus on. And if you start to let go a little bit every day, it's going to turn around. So for me, there's actually quite a lot of things that I have to do. And now I do them just kind of happens naturally, but I have to do them every single day. And so, for example, like in the morning, I write down what I'm grateful for um, in my journal because once I start to get really focused again on those like outcome results, then I start to forget about why I'm actually doing it and about the things that make me happy. So writing my what I'm grateful for in the morning just kind of grounds me to be like, oh right, like that's why I'm doing this. I get to enjoy all these little things. Um, I used to put sticky notes with different affirmations kind of like on my mirror or on the fridge or somewhere that I see a lot, just like little reminders if I have negative thoughts or my ED voice is kind of being loud in my head. And then I would just see these affirmations and be like, oh, right. Like, I'm okay, or I am enough, or I can do this. And it just would like kind of help ground me. Um, and then whenever I kind of have those thoughts, I also am really close to my dad. And I think it's really important for people to have a person. It can be a friend, a therapist, a parent, anyone, just to kind of be super honest and like verbally say, this is what I'm thinking right now. Because it's different to just hear it in your head, but letting it out, it truly does like help you actually get it out of your system. So those are the few of the things that I have to kind of do every single day to just like keep me on track.
Yeah, it makes sense. And when it comes to the Ironman, I feel it's like it's one of the biggest sports and probably hardest ones because it is about pushing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when do you decide, or how do you decide that it's time to push myself, or it's time to step back and maybe have you know a day off? How do
Mm-hmm.
you come up with that conclusion?
So that's something that I'm still learning as I go because, again, it's just deep ingrained in me to always be pushing to the extremes. But what this sport has been teaching me is to truly embrace the highs and the lows and really focus on my health and being like the strongest version of myself. And I've learned that you can't go forever. You can't be pushing 100% every single day. So definitely just learning to listen to my body and be like, am I tired today? Do I need to take rest? And it's not easy. It's not easy at all for me to sit down. It stresses me out. But then in the long run, I know I'm like, you know what? That's what I needed today. And that's going to keep me healthy and strong. So it's really just practicing listening to your body and then actually responding to that. Um, it's not easy to do, especially in this sport, because you feel like you can always or should always be doing more.
Mhm.
Um, but with experience for a few races now, I've learned that having those ups and downs to kind of rest and recover actually gives you more results and makes you feel better and keeps you going for a longer time.
Yeah, 100%. I've been running a lot since I stopped playing soccer, and
Mm-hmm.
I, I feel the same way. And I think for all of us that we played sports for so long, it's just like it's automatic for us to just push. It feels like
Yeah.
we're getting behind if we're not practicing or doing something towards the our goal. Um, but then I think the last 4 days I didn't run, just because the it was raining here a lot. So I did a little bit on the treadmill, and today I went for a big run, and it was actually much better because I took
Mm-hmm.
a few days off, and I wasn't running as much. Um, and I mean, when you're running, there's no way to cheat. When you're playing soccer, for example, you still can, like, you can find a good pass here. You can score a goal. So like it's not very easy to see if you are cheating in a way. But
Yeah.
like when it comes to running, there's like, okay, you have to run and that's it. Your pace is your pace. There's nothing else you can do. Uh, if you don't push, you don't push. If you're going slow, you're going slow. Like it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. So it is very complicated. But I think every time I take a day off and then I go for a big run the next day, I do see a very big difference. In terms of my time when I'm running.
Totally know what you mean. Yeah. And like this week coming up, I have like a recovery rest week before I start to build for the 70.3 World Championships. And it was so stressful, like seeing it on my plan to be like, oh my gosh, like that's so many less hours than I'm
Yeah,
used to. But then I just remind myself, no, 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 like I'm gonna feel better and it's gonna make me stronger for the weeks to come. So I relate to you.
yeah, good. Um, and tell me a little bit of the physical challenges that comes with the Ironman and also the mental challenge, because I feel like it gets to a point that it probably none of them are working for you. Like your legs are not responding, and then your mindset is probably like, okay, can we just stop this? But then you have to keep pushing. Just tell me in general the physical challenge that you face, but also the mental side that you face when you're running, swimming,
Yeah.
riding.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. So it's definitely like any sport, it's not easy. It's not easy physically. But I think something that I've been kind of embracing is finding comfort in the discomfort. So, if I'm doing a really hard interval bike and like my legs start to just flare up and I'm like really struggling, um, it's just like find comfort in it. It's making me stronger, and I know that in 30 minutes it's over, and then I can rest for the day, and I don't have to use my legs. So it's really just kind of reminding yourself, push now, rest later. And again, it's that fine balance. But at the same time, not every day is perfect. There's the rule of thirds, right? So a third of the time you're going to feel great. A third of the time it's going to be average. A third of the time it's going to be really not good at all and you're going to hate it. And so I remind myself that too, just being like, oh, today is not a good day, but let's just get through it and give my relative 100%. So, my 100% tomorrow and today can be completely different, but as long as I know that I'm showing up in the best way possible, then that's all I can do for that day. And I'll be proud of myself for showing up and being there for myself. Um, at the same time, if you're out on a really long run and you physically don't feel good, like you have stomach issues or your feet are hurting or something is actually coming up, then you have to be mentally strong enough to say, no, I'm going to take a step back today and I'm actually going to stop this run. And knowing that that is what's best for you on that day. So it's just like a constant being able to tune in with yourself and be aware of what's going on, and then being able to make a decision based off of that. Like, is it just a day that it's hard, or do I truly need to take a step back?
Mhm. And I feel like in a lot of sports, we compare ourselves to other people all the time, and especially on those because you see at the time, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to lower my time so I can get closer to that guy or that girl. Um, what are your thoughts on comparing yourself to others? Do you feel like it helps? Do you feel like it doesn't help at all? Or do you feel like it's necessary? What are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. So, the quote that everybody knows, comparison is a thief of joy. I think it's very, very accurate, but I also think that there's um, unhealthy comparison and then there's healthy competition. So
Hmm.
unhealthy competition or comparison is when you're seeing someone else and you're being like, you know what, I'm never going to be that good. They are way stronger than me, they're way faster than me. And then you end up being kind of disengaged and you don't put in effort because you just feel like giving up. And I think that's where it's like really not helpful at all. But on the other side of things, if you see someone as an inspiration or a motivation, you see a pro athlete and you're like, whoa, it would be so cool to be able to get to that level. And using that again, like as a motivator. So making you put in more effort or put in more time or making better goals, that's going to help you and actually improve your performance. So I think, again, just like everything that I've kind of been talking about, is just finding that balance between how am I going to use that comparison? Am I going to use it to bring myself down, or am I going to use it to motivate me?
Mhm. Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think it's only the teeth of joy if you allow it to be it. I
Yeah.
think the races and the runs that I done the better are the ones that there was someone in front of me and I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
catch up, and I was like sprinting, you know. And a lot of the times when I go run in the morning where there's no one out there, I'm not pushing myself as much because I'm not looking at the pace or anything. So there's like I'm just running here by myself. But if put
Mm-hmm.
someone in front of me, and then I can go much faster. You know. So I think it is about um, finding the balance, but also knowing ourselves, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
think, like you said, yes, if you keep comparing yourself to people that you're never gonna catch up, or you know that is gonna put you down, that you feel like giving up, that's not a good thing at all. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think in reality, sports, it is about comparison. Um, Everyone wants to win, but we don't have to win against others as well. We can win against
Yeah.
ourselves. We can just be better than ourselves yesterday. I think that's a huge win. So
Yeah, it's definitely you versus you. That's kind of what I say a lot. And then also just remembering that your day one could be someone else's day 100.
mhm.
So, and you don't know the story. The person that you're running beside, you don't know what they have gone through. You don't know where they are. You don't
Yeah,
know what benefits they have. You don't know what hardships they have. So it's really just focusing on you and using, if they're going faster, be like, oh, hey, let me just try and keep up. And you might go faster than you ever have. And that happened to me too on one of my races. I was behind this guy and I was like, you know what? He's going faster than the pace I thought I was going to go, but I'm just going to keep up. I'm just going to be able to do it.
yeah.
I'm just going to keep up. And it was my PR. So there's definitely benefits to it. You just have to be aware with how you're reacting to it.
Mhm. Um, if you could share one piece of advice with the entire world, what would that be? Let's say, you know, you're gonna have like a huge billboard, Times Square, everywhere in the world. What is that billboard's gonna say?
Oh, I hope I have a billboard one day. That'd be sweet. Um, so something that I say a lot, and I actually have it on my tri suit now, on my back. So whoever's behind me, they can read it, if they're running behind me or biking behind me. But it's just dream big, work hard, and always keep going. Because I think that no matter who you are, no matter what you have, I think everyone is capable of accomplishing their goals. And so, first, you have to be able to dream big. If you start small and say, I'm not going to be able to get anywhere, well, then you're not setting yourself up for success. So, I think dreaming big, not being scared of dreaming big is so important. But then at the same time, in order to get somewhere, you have to put in the work. That's just how it is. Some people are genetically blessed with things, but they still have to be putting in daily effort,
Yeah.
in order to, achieve the things that they want to. So I think, being okay, like I said before, finding comfort in the discomfort, working towards those dreams. And then when things get hard, when you feel like giving up, just remind yourself about your why. Remind yourself about those things that you're grateful for, about the people around you, so that every single day you keep going and you never ever give up on yourself. Um, yeah.
I love that. So dream big, work hard, and keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of those insights. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Um, it, I hope the Ironman goes very good for you and you keep doing it. I
Thank
think
you.
seeing people doing it, people like you, coming from a different sport and doing it, it's inspiring for other people, but also for me. So I I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing a little bit. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.